Now to an ABC News exclusive. Russian soldiers walking into Ukrainian orphanage and simply taking over. One of those children already adopted by an American mother who details the months of hell, not knowing whether she would ever get to bring her daughter home. ABC's Ines de La Cuetara has this report.
Was your daughter kidnapped by Russian soldiers?
I would say yes. I don't know how else you would put it, because they didn't willfully choose to just go to Russia.
The video is disturbing. Armed Russian soldiers going room by room at an orphanage in Ukraine. These were the men keeping watch over Beth White's daughter.
Especially with our situation with having ours be adopted, like obviously she didn't want to be there. She wanted to come home to her family.
This is a story about the war's most vulnerable. 15 Ukrainian orphans taken by Russian soldiers, put on Ukraine's missing persons list, and reappearing almost a year after the war began in Tbilisi, Georgia. The group sharing their story for the first time, speaking exclusively with ABC News about the heroic efforts to get them to safety.
Tell me about how you got out of Ukraine.
Нас примусово привозили російські воєнні. Нам було страшно.
What these children say happened to them is some of the clearest evidence yet of what Ukrainian officials have been claiming for months. And while Russia rejects allegations it has been kidnapping children, just last week, Ukraine's top presidential advisor for human rights said Russian troops have abducted close to 14,000 Ukrainian children. The forcible transfer of children constitutes a war crime. It can even qualify as genocide.
Ми взагалі не розуміли, що відбулося, чого вони нас забрали, взагалі. Що це ми не на Україні і це.
О 8 годині ранку мені повідомили про те, що дійсно сталася страшна подія, війна в Україні, зателефонував департамент освіти, і який сказав негайно підготувати дітей до евакуації.
Natalia, the head of this orphanage, says she and the kids packed up as soon as the war broke out, waiting to be evacuated, only to find out no one was coming for them.
Забігти наперед, якби я знала, що нас чекає, якби я знала, що станеться, взяла їхні рюкзачки і пішла б з ними пішком. Я не вірила в те, що це страхіття затягнеться, буде так довго. Думалося, що це все вирішиться.
Among the 15 children, the daughter of an American family, Yulia had just been adopted. Her paperwork finalized just 4 days after the war broke out.
Literally the only thing left was to get her visa and get her on a plane and bring her home. Like, that's all we had left to do for her.
Her mom growing increasingly concerned, and then came the day she lost all contact with Yulia.
I felt like my life just really, really stopped. If they found out she was adopted by an American family, like, that could put her and everybody else at massive risk as well. And so I know they were just trying to keep that down.
Back at the orphanage, there was nothing left to do but hunker down, the kids moving into the basement below their school as the region quickly fell. Russian soldiers soon coming to the orphanage.
Я дуже добре пам'ятаю той танк, який зупинився і своїм дулом почав крутити. Ми всі замерли. Мені здавалося, що саме зараз він у нашу школу. І він говорить: а скільки ж у вас дітей? Правда, що у вас діти залишились? І я розумію, що вже жителі села їм повідомили, що вони від жителів села. І я кажу: їх мама – це мої діти, які залишилися.
Natalia says that while the children were treated well, the soldiers barred them from leaving and were furious to learn she'd been asking for help evacuating.
Вони були озброєні, вони були дуже злі. Він сів за стіл, покалав руки, стукав автоматом по підлозі. Я так розуміла, що він намагається мене залякати. І він сказав мені, що зараз він одягне мені на голову пакет, повезе мене до Снігурівки, і я буду розповідати.
Beth, meanwhile, was establishing contact with American volunteers Ash and Kathy, who had been working to help evacuate people in Ukraine, both making it their mission to help find these children.
I just couldn't stand to have them be thinking that they didn't matter and they were just like leaves that are being blown around with no direction and no destination. To say, we know we're getting you out, we know it.
The two women working their contacts to try and figure out where the children were and how to get to them. Kathy even driving down close to the orphanage, only to realize it was behind Russian lines.
And at that point, I was really starting to feel very hopeless, because I was just like, if they're really captured by the Russians, like, there's a good chance we're never going to see her again. Even though our adoption is final, she was our daughter.
But things would get worse before they got better. In July, Russian soldiers told Natalia and the kids they would be moved to the Kherson region in southern Ukraine.
Подивилися, чи нікого не заховала, чи нікого десь не відправила ні з ким. І вони дійсно патрулювали. Вони ходили біля підвалів, тому що в нас 2 підвали, і вони ходили, дивилися, спостерігали постійно.
This is the director in Kherson.
Да, Херсона.
In Kherson, Natalia says the children were under constant surveillance and that they were repeatedly used for propaganda videos like this one, aired by the Russian National Guard, soldiers claiming to have rescued the children. And as Russian forces began losing ground in Kherson, the children were moved again. They weren't told where they were going until they realized they'd been brought to Russia.
I didn't fully give up hope, but it was really hard, you know, and a lot of times where that grief just like really hit you. And just like, especially like walking by the room that we've had prepared for a year. It will be a year since we had court and like legally adopted her on that day, and she's still not home. You know, and for most of that time, we just didn't even know if she would.
Then in November, 9 months after the war broke out, all 15 children crossing the Russian border into Georgia, and Beth finally getting the news she'd been waiting for. The women who made it all happen say they're just getting started.
We can't actually go into the mechanics of how it was done because it needs done again and again and again.
The children now have a new orphanage in Georgia. And as for Yulia, she's finally home. From war and captivity to freedom, touching down in Wyoming, to the warm embrace of her new family, becoming a U.S. citizen the moment she set foot on U.S. soil. When we asked what she's most excited about when it comes to her new life, it's a one-word answer.
Мир.
Peace.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.